We have heard of cults and their non-traditional requirements and rituals. You may have watched popular shows and popular movies on cults with great intrigue. And we hear about these cults or social groups with unusual religious, spiritual, or philosophical beliefs and are astonished that humans are capable of falling into the trap of a cult leader. We may even think to ourselves how we would never join a cult or follow another human being's gospel. We would never be brainwashed or exploited financially or emotionally. We would never turn our backs on our own family and friends and prioritize a group of people we just met. But for some reason, there are still over 3,000 cults in the United States, with between 300,000 to 3 million members. So we really don't know. Are we capable of resisting a cult if circumstances were a little bit different? Why do these members join? And how do we ensure that we don't fall into the same trap of a manipulative cult leader? But before we discuss the reason why people join cults, I just wanted to quickly ask you guys to please consider subscribing to this channel if you want weekly videos on the paranormal, conspiracy, spine-chilling topics that you want to hear every freaking week. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. I spend hours researching and creating these videos just to give it to you in little bite-sized, beautiful pieces so you don't have to do the work, and I just want to entertain you. I just want to be here for you, baby. Additionally, if you don't know, I have a video podcast on this channel as well called Cauldron Convos. It's a longer form content podcast where I have a co-host and we get into the nitty-gritty details of the dirty, and we just play around with it a little bit. Ew, why did I say that? I hate me. Should I put Thanksgiving things up? Because I feel like it's spooky still, but I feel like it's Thanksgiving, so now this is just dated. Should I put a Santa Claus being murdered? I feel like that's a little too extreme though. So in order to identify really why do people join cults, we can take a look at common themes and demographics of former and current cult members. Dr. Singer at the University of California, Berkeley has studied over 700 cult members, and she noted that former cult members she studied had a wide range of personality types. She stated, "You don't have to be a certain kind of person to succumb to the cults." And Dr. Clark at Harvard has studied more than 500 cult members as well, and also stated something similar to Dr. Singer. Dr. Clark noted that there is no standard profile of the destructive cult victim. However, Dr. Clark also points out that typically a vulnerable person may be manipulated into joining a cult. For example, someone that just ended their marriage and feels lost. Or a student that just moved out of their parents' house, perhaps. Maybe someone who recently claimed sobriety. And this actually is the reason why cults will often recruit at campuses, rallies, airports, etc. Places where people who may be at a changing point of their lives or a vulnerable state would be. It's very sneaky and tactful and kind of, impressive, but in a very sick way. There's a weird thing with the people that recruit for cults, that are the leaders of cults, where they are kind of psychologically aware of certain behaviors with humans, where they know, they're strategic with what they do, how they recruit, what they say, their techniques, where they even go, what people they even prey on. Another expert psychologist, Dr. Michelle Barton, pointed out that cults prey on vulnerability to facilitate their cause. Cults seek out the disenfranchised and outcasts. People most in need of support are lured in by the prospect of belonging somewhere or to something meaningful. So it seems, although any personality types can be manipulated into joining a cult, experts that study former and current cult members seem to agree that those who are more willing to join or are looking to join are those in vulnerable states, which is usually at a confusing or a hard point in their lives, which is very unfortunate and very sad to think that these people would prey on the weak. And according to some studies discussed by Lorne L. Dawson, a Canadian sociologist, in his book, The Sociology of New Religious Movements, common characteristics of cult members include a higher level of education, a weaker spiritual background, higher financial success, younger age, and fewer time constraints. And interesting enough, people pursuing or holding degrees actually have a higher likelihood of being open-minded when presented with new information. And we know that holding higher degrees correlates with higher financial success on average. Obviously, we hear about people who drop out of high school, college, who are more successful than people who have their PhD. But we also know that cults will target and try to recruit these types of people, usually because they know that they will be more open to ideas and that they have more money to donate to their cause and support their cult, maybe even support their cult leaders specifically, because where does the money go? Who knows? I mean, I guess it depends on the cult. I'm not accusing all cults, but I know some of y'all out there, the leader be collecting it. They're wearing Louis Vuitton. They're not traveling with like Amazon Basics luggage like I am. They're in first class, going to their next place to give a speech with the money of their members. In a psychology study called Cult Membership, What Factors Contribute to Joining or Leaving, this study studied 31 former cult members, and nearly half of the sample displayed an anxiety disorder during the year preceding to commitment of the cult, 51.6%. And it is a small sample, 31. It's not huge. It's not that like they studied 30,000 cult members and they found this crazy prevalence of anxiety. But it is still a little shocking, but a shock to no one. From commitment of the cult to 12 months after departure, the prevalence of anxiety disorders increased progressively. 58.1% during the membership period and 61.3% during the year following departure. Now, the results of the study does not mean that someone with anxiety will join a cult and someone without anxiety will not join a cult at all. But it is an interesting study to take a look at, and note that anxiety is a natural physiological response to feeling vulnerable. So this idea of vulnerability is coming up again, which I think was important to point out. I don't know. I wrote it in my notes. Okay? What do you want from me? You feeling vulnerable? I feel vulnerable. Look at me. I'm cold. I'm recording in a bit. Okay, whatever. A lot of people do join cults for religious reasons or spiritual reasons. However, not all cults are actually focused on religion. Some are political, some are therapy-based, self-help-based, etc. Now, we can also take a look at what cults offer potential new members in order to see how they're even getting recruits. What are they promising to their members? And this might provide us with some insight into why people join. For example, if they're offering this, I don't know, really tasty chocolate bar that's really low in calorie, it will actually make you skinnier. Then the consumer, the person that actually wants this and is intrigued and interested because of this ad, you could probably conclude that, they want something tasty, and they might want to be skinnier. So that's exactly what I did for you. I went on these nasty cult websites. Maybe I shouldn't be. Scientology's website seems to advertise a positive attitude towards life, self-confidence, and happiness, which is kind of what we all strive for. I mean, maybe some people are like, no, I strive for insecurity. I'm so content with myself that I just want to hate myself. Can't relate. But it notes, the website, that fundamentally people get into Scientology because they want to improve something in their lives or because they wish to help others improve and thus create a better civilization. Now, this idea of joining these groups as a form of self-help is a common concept found of these cults. The cult NXIVM was advertised as a self-help organization actually, and they had costly self-empowerment courses that like over 16,000 members actually paid for. Hello, what's going on? Actually, I wasn't one of those members, but like I could see myself being like self-help. Hi. However, it ended up resulting in the biggest cult prosecution in nearly a decade, with the leader guilty of sex trafficking, human trafficking, and more heinous crimes, and he's getting locked up. Bye. And it's even crazy. I mean, side note that the Seagram's heiress who's inherited over $1 billion, she was a member. She's donated over $100 million or loaned the guy some kind of money, and she stands behind him, which is sick because, like, I mean, he must be a sicko. Additionally, the idea of community is advertised on cult websites. For example, the Church of the Brethren's website notes, Our congregations welcome all who wish to share with us in another way of living, the way of Christian discipleship, life in community, fulfillment in service. So we can understand it as people who feel lonely and would be looking for a type of community for companionship might join a cult more than others who are fulfilled socially. I don't know, just because you have a ton of friends doesn't necessarily mean you won't join a cult. But whatever, I think a stronger presence of people who are lonely and don't feel connected to a social group might want to seek out a group to feel welcomed, to want to have Friendsgiving with them. If you don't identify with a group, if you don't feel a strong community with a group of friends, hey, you might want to be like, I want to turn to something else. And I know in my whatever day-to-day life, I've felt like that a bunch of times, probably now, I don't know. But I go on like meetup.com and I'm like looking for things that I'm interested in. And it could be all innocent. And then the next thing you know, you're moving off to another place. You're living in a community of a bunch of people. You're sharing a bunk bed with like some random person from Nevada. And you're like, where am I? What's going on with my... And I don't mean to make a joke about it because it's not funny. It's actually pretty twisted that like some humans prey on other humans. Like just live your own life. Don't you have anything better to do than live your own life? You know what I mean? I don't know. That's how I feel. That's how I live my life. On my own. That's why I'm looking for a cult. If you're a cult and you want it, I'm just kidding. Okay. But this concept that cults attract those that are lonely is relevant to actually People's Temple as well. And if you don't know what People's Temple is, you gotta know. I need to do a whole podcast on People's Temple because it's actually insane. People's Temple was a cult led by Jim Jones. It tragically resulted in a mass suicide and murder of over 900 people. Now, according to the American Psychological Association, aka the APA, which is a pretty big deal in psychology if you don't know what it is, its website, Jones's followers actually originally came to the community known as Jonestown seeking paradise and an escape from racism and persecution in the United States. And this was like ranging from, I think, the 50s to the 70s. And a PBS article stated that members of the People's Temple joined because they believed in a society where people of all races could live and work together. They joined because they wanted their actions and examples to lead to that society. And Catherine Barber, a former member of the People's Temple, noted the people were the attraction of the temple. Now, it's quite unfortunate and sad that most of the members of this cult originally joined as devoted, hardworking people that wanted to be a part of change, promote equality, and perform altruistic acts. But the people of Jonestown joined for the community and most likely never intended on committing suicide, following a sadistic leader, and feeding children Kool-Aid, literally. There are a bunch of reasons why people join cults, and I just wanted to share the scientific reasons why, studies that they've done. But I just want to say that most members didn't join because they're stupid, or that they want their rights stripped away, or that they want to follow someone else. When they join, they might not have realized or been presented with all of the information. Subscribe to this channel because I do post videos every single week on the paranormal, conspiracy, spine-chilling, true crime, crazy topics that you want to hear. It's important to learn about these crazy things because if we're not doing it, if we're not having the conversation about it, who is? Huh? Joe Biden and Donald Trump? No, they're not. We are. Because look at us. Me flexing in the gym like, all right, that's it for today's video. Please make sure to subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!